Hi, I'm Kara from Health, Home, and Happiness, and today we're going to talk about the difference between detoxification and knowing if you're having a recurrence of symptoms when you're on the GAPS diet. Most people that are going through the introduction part of the GAPS diet, where you start with just meat broth and cooked vegetables and cooked meat, and then you slowly add things in, they'll get what's called a healing crisis. And a healing crisis is when the pathogenic bacteria low in your gut are dying off because you're not feeding them the starches and the carbs anymore that they need to survive. When they die off, they release a ton of toxins into your bloodstream that can affect your brain, and then they can kind of back up in your system and cause rashes or cause digestive problems, or sometimes even vomiting, diarrhea, that kind of stuff, as your body tries to get rid of them. Overall, it seems horrible. It is horrible. It's not fun to go through, but it means that they're dying and they're no longer living in your body, slowly emitting these little toxins or slowly causing problems with your digestive system. So that's what a healing crisis is. I will link to a blog post that explains that more in detail down below this video, as well as some more informational articles on how to know if you're having a detox reaction or a healing crisis, or when you're supposed to go on the next stage. So if you're having a healing crisis on GAPS, something that you can do to help deal with the symptoms is Epsom salt baths. Those are in my intro book and they're recommended by Dr. Natasha. Epsom salt has both sulfur and magnesium, and both of those are needed for your detoxification pathways, so your body can naturally clean up the toxins that are there. The second thing you can do to help eliminate your detox reactions is to take a charcoal. If you're having too much of a detox reaction and maybe you're vomiting a lot or you're so lethargic that you can't do your daily living things, I don't think it's recommended by Dr. Natasha, but she doesn't say anything bad about it. I know a lot of my readers have had success with taking activated charcoal. It's just, you can get it in any, like Walgreens or anything like that. It's just a little pill and it's full of activated charcoal. You give this for poisoning to kids. That's actually what's recommended by most mainstream pediatricians. Instead of the syrup of ipecac that makes them throw up now, you just give them the charcoal and that absorbs the toxins in their system. But for GAPS, if you have accidentally consumed too many probiotics or you've eaten too many fermented foods and you're having a detox reaction that's acute, you can take the charcoal. We don't want to take this every day because it does bind to the vitamins and minerals that we need. So if we take a charcoal every day to try and get rid of the detox reactions, then we're also going to be starving our body of the nutrients that we need. So it's good for an occasional use if you need it, just to get you out of a healing crisis quickly. And then be careful not to do whatever you did to cause that healing crisis to come on so fast. Usually it's probiotics. Bioccult is super powerful. So if you just start with just a tiny little bit of that. And that's another question that I get a lot is, do you do Bioccult during the introduction? I don't do Bioccult during the intro. I feel like intro, just alleviating all of those carbohydrates is plenty to kill off the bacteria. So if you're also taking Bioccult, then those good strains that are in Bioccult will go down and kill the bacteria even faster, and that can cause too much of a healing crisis for most people to handle. So we have Epsom salt baths, which help our body to detox because the sulfur and the magnesium is needed for detoxification pathways, slowing down fermented foods and probiotics, or not doing them at all and waiting until you've had more healing. The charcoal for immediate relief, that is our third thing. And then finally is just taking it slow. Just go through the GAPS intro diet as slowly as you can. Try things like, try the egg yolk. A lot of people can handle the egg yolk and it feels like they're doing more, but introducing especially the probiotics as slowly as possible. Coconut is not in the GAPS intro diet, and I believe that's because it does kill off that pathogenic bacteria quickly as well. Coconut can trigger a healing crisis for lots of people as well. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is, how do you know to go on the next stage of the GAPS diet? There's 5 or 6 intro stages. I'll list that down below. I'll put a link to the foods that are in each stage and the exact numbers and what's allowed on them. But you go the first stage is just the meat and the veggies and the broth, and that's pretty restrictive, and a lot of people are really hungry, so I don't ever really recommend people stay on that unless they're having severe diarrhea and vomiting for more than a day or two. So I'll do a couple days on the first stage, and then once you can add the egg yolks in, do a few more days, and then slowly add about 1 food a day. And if you start seeing symptoms come back, like if you've done the GAPS diet for depression and you didn't have depression through stage 3, then you go to introduce something on stage 4 and depression comes back, or eczema comes back, or whatever you're doing GAPS diet for. If something went away in the first stages and then it comes back, it means you need to back up a stage. So the difference between knowing when to go on the next stage and seeing your symptoms come back and know when you need to reverse a little bit is if it's something new, that's usually a healing crisis. So if you use, or if it's like a big flare. So if you had a little bit of eczema and then you go on stage 1 and you see a big eczema flare, that's from the die-off. If you don't notice something until you go up a stage, then that's usually your body not being able to handle that next stage up. So that's how I tell. It's kind of, it takes a lot of charting. There's a chart in my intro book that can help you to track these symptoms. So we marked a lot of symptoms on calendars when we were doing this. We put a big desk calendar, those big ones that we just put one of those up in the kitchen, and I marked her symptoms, like we were doing meltdowns, bowel movements, and how much she ate a day. So if she was like really hungry and she had very few meltdowns and she had good bowel movements, I would mark that on our calendar for that day. And then if I introduced a food that day, I would mark that too. So then if the next day I saw, well, she didn't sleep really well last night, let's see what we did yesterday. Well, everything was good yesterday, but we did introduce like the raw garlic. And so, oh, well, maybe she's not good with the raw garlic yet. So then we just take the raw garlic out and do whatever we did prior to adding the raw garlic in for a couple days. And then go ahead and try the raw garlic again. The GAPS intro is super healing and it's super efficient. So hopefully every couple days, if you just give your body a couple days to rest, then a few days later you'll be able to introduce whatever food you were just trying to do that caused that detox reaction or that healing crisis, and you can introduce it again. So I hope that helps know when to go on the next stages. And again, I'll link a few blog posts down below. If you can give me a thumbs up if this was helpful on YouTube, that would be helpful to me to get these words out there. And I hope you have a healthy day. Thank you. Hi, I'm Kara from Health, Home, and Happiness, and today we're going to talk about detox reactions in the GAPS diet. In the GAPS diet, you're hilarious.